局自分のことを、書くことになるじゃないですか。自分が思ってもいないようなことを正しいかのようには言えないじゃないですか。そうすると、結果的には自分の一番奥にあるようなことを引っ張り出してくるしかないんで、なんか一人の時しか本当のとこは作れないなっていう気がしてるんですよね。
If you are a person that experiences growth and faces new challenges, then Vagabond is the one for you. Now it could be said that Vagabond is boring because it doesn't always have the flashy battles that anime provides through motion and music. But it's not really the point that Inoue was trying to reach. Vagabond, as you probably know, is first of all a piece of art. The mangaka focuses a lot on his craft on drawing in detail, thus making the manga shine through visuals. Static visuals, but beautiful nonetheless. We have been numbed to immovable art. Paintings, mangas and books have taken a back seat to films, anime and videos. So the one thing I would ask you to maintain is patience with Vagabond. You will be delighted to read it that way. Generate the patience of a samurai and read about the fictional Myiamoto Musashi. The manga, content-wise, is realistic and full of human psychology, especially about inner and outer struggle. And it holds a lot of truth about the human mind. Also, if you are a fan of philosophy, then this is something for you to read. Myiamoto Musashi goes on a journey of improvement and growth. Although probably none of the readers are full-blown samurais, right? And the settings of a battlefield and a fight of swords is alien to us. The fundamentals are the same for any human. It's clear from the start that Musashi is in a conundrum of a youthful person that is finding out where his place is in the world and how he can prove himself competent. A familiar topic, no? It is always inspiring to hear or see a story of someone struggling. It gives us proof that we are not the only ones in that war with ourselves and gives us some possible answers as to how we should act. As we follow Musashi's steps, we take a deep dive into his life, into his psyche, fears and thoughts. He is portrayed to be human. He eats, sleeps, takes a bath. Have you noticed how animes revolving around seemingly trivial stuff like traveling by train in Neon Genesis Evangelion is seen as aesthetic? That is the beauty of the trivial and human. That's what Vagabond has, besides its intense meetings between highly skilled warriors and samurais. Of course, if you find that boring, you could go and watch something flashier. Vagabond is aesthetic and powerful in its own way. As a samurai, quiet, wise, insightful, yet capable of high intensity display of power, strength and grace. Let me give you an example from Musashi's journey in the manga. In the early chapters of him searching out the best fighters, around chapter 50, he meets a young prodigy of the Hozoin technique of the spear. Inshun, Musashi's opponent, is nothing he had ever seen. In the face of a better and more skilled opponent, we see the internal struggle of Myiamoto with his fears and adrenaline. His heart rate rises, he stiffens up, and fear starts to overcome the body. Yet Musashi shows courage and concentration to stay in the fight, as well as he is skilled and powerful enough to keep up with the master of the spear. Again, the theme of becoming stronger comes to the foreground, as the vagabond wonders if he is weak or strong. Though Musashi knows one thing, Inshun is strong and defeating him will prove him mighty. In such an intense bout, many people would just buckle under the pressure and surrender. Myiamoto, on the other hand, kept pushing it to the limit until something very interesting occurs. His fear is on the verge of overriding his whole system. In order to combat that feeling, the vagabond lets rage be unleashed, though this only leads to a lack of control and difficulty in defeating the opponent. A Chinese proverb says, "Control your emotions, or they will control you." And that is especially important during combat, as all practitioners of martial arts know. Lack of control and self-restraint leads to a brain fog. In this weak state, and with all the injuries Inshin had already inflicted on his body, Musashi is on the verge of being killed. What does he do then? He runs. It's so embarrassing that one kid that saw the fight told him that he doesn't want to be a disciple of Musashi anymore, because he's no warrior for running away. As you can imagine, that is all devastating for one's psyche. We see after that the broken and depressed Musashi. Myiamoto Musashi in the manga gradually finds his way to a more spiritual approach towards the world.
っていうサンプルがあるわけじゃないんで、自分がその感情になって書くしかないんですけど、その彼の感情がちゃんと分かってるかどうかっていうことですね。 100% こぼさないっていうか、外さないっていうか。
The author, Takehiko Inoue, when drawing, tries to feel the scene and the emotion himself in order to transport the feeling into his art. And this spiritual awakening of Musashi is similar to a large-scale occurrence nowadays in the Western world, where people seem to be without orientation or guidance. Such was the conundrum of young and daring Myiamoto. On an individual level, maybe it is the question of time and age as to start finding God and something more deeper within. Once struggle really becomes overwhelming, one naturally sways towards divine help, where one could also find solace if one believes enough. That is one further theme of Inoue's manga and development of a character, which as we see is quite timeless in quality and importance. Vagabond is for a reason a part of the legendary seinen trio next to Berserk and Vinland Saga. Seinen means youth, and the seinen manga is targeted at young adult men, thus trying to present themes and tropes that are familiar and close to the heart for the reader. In Vagabond's case, self-betterment, a journey of physical and mental nature, and an aim to find one's true place in the world are so humanly and authentically portrayed that it could hit home for a lot of people. It is no surprise that Vagabond manga ranks top 3 in popularity next to names such as JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Berserk and One Piece. Musashi's struggle could very well be your struggle. And that's what makes the manga interesting.